It's Mon Mothma's HoloNet, and we're just posting on it. Welcome back to Mothma Net News on our 50-day countdown to Andor Season 2. Today's guest, would you like to introduce yourself and our topic of the day?
Hello, my name is Sawyer, otherwise known as Sawyerism. I've been making Star Wars content for 5 years now, and today we're going to be talking about none other than Mon Mothma.
My favorite.
I know, I couldn't believe that when you first asked me if I wanted to do the show, I couldn't believe that hadn't already been taken up.
I had a couple people be like, I didn't know if Mon was something that you were going to do solo, and I was like, oh, that's the panel at Celebration. We do not need a 6-hour video. So I very much appreciate that someone was like, yeah, I'd love to talk about Mon Mothma. I'm like, wonderful. You're saving the people from an ungodly amount of more Mon Mothma than they've ever wanted to know. So what can we say about Mon Mothma? I'll let you begin.
Oh my god. First, just like Genevieve O'Reilly. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Like even to this day, I just think about her performance in Andor season 1 all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of those acting performances that has just stuck with me. Like regardless, like forget Star Wars, like just in general, it has really stuck with me. I just absolutely love what she's done with the character. And I'm so excited for what's coming in Andor season 2 with her especially. So yeah. That's where I'll start.
Yeah, I agree. Like Genevieve is just one of those actresses that as Tony said in that recent interview, like they still haven't figured out the limits of what she could do. But she's just that talented, and she's been playing this role for like 20 years now.
Crazy.
And there's still like there's so much untapped potential.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that she's able to come back after Andor season 2, because I'm not ready to say goodbye.
Me either. We could do like a whole Mon Mothma series. Like,
real.
I would just watch hours of her performing as Mon Mothma.
Yeah, Mon Mothma soap opera.
By the time we're done with, oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's just me, Tony Gilroy, and Alexander Freed just working along. Just here's more scripts for you, Genevieve. And she's like, this is 73 episodes. And I'm like, we're good. Yeah, let's keep going.
But I was just going to say, by the end of this talk, Mon Mothma is not going to sound like a real word.
Sometimes even for me, and I talk about her constantly in my day-to-day life, that's my problem. Like I wake up and get out of bed for this woman every single day. And is it a little bit pathetic that I do that for a fictional character? Yeah, no. But everyone needs to have motivation. No. But everyone needs to have motivation, and she is mine.
Of course.
Oh. I'm gonna cry so hard over her story in season 2, though. I just know it.
No.
Oh, everything she's gonna go through.
I know. I'm nervous, especially after these recent Tony Gilroy interviews. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. What have you? Yeah. What are you cooking? Like, obviously she survives, but at what cost?
Yeah. Yeah, like what else is she gonna go through? Because she's already going through it in season 1, and then the last time we see her, she's like this introduction between the son of this guy and my daughter is happening, and I really hope that they like each other because they're probably gonna get married.
Yeah, this alleged wedding is very interesting.
She looks good at it, though.
She does. She does.
Taylor Swift wrote, I can do it with a broken heart for Mon Mothma. It's the epitome of I'm miserable and nobody even knows.
Oh my god.
Like, she just, such a fearless, strong woman that I just feel like so many people misunderstand her.
Yeah. Or just like don't give her the attention she deserves.
Truly.
Like I was so glad in Andor season 1 that we had so much time to spend with her and really get to know her more as a character. Because, like, if you think about it, she started as a character that we barely knew anything about for many years. She just is there. And, you know, and then does she have any scenes in Revenge of the Sith, or were they all cut?
They were cut.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Which also sucks, like, from, like, a Revenge of the Sith point. Naturally, I'm biased towards Mon Mothma, but it also sucks for characters like Padme, who had such a nuked role in Revenge of the Sith. I'm like, Padme, what are you doing in this movie? Because you're such a badass in the first two. You're a badass politician. You run into danger like it's nobody's business. Like, you're freaking crazy. And she's like, I'm pregnant and I'm crying. And I'm like, but I'm like, you can also be a badass and be pregnant and also acknowledge that you have emotions. Like, you could do all three of those things, but no.
Okay, George.
Like, you know, like, yeah, like, I love George Lucas for all that he created, but sometimes I'm like, your choices are odd to me sometimes.
Yes.
Padme in Revenge of the Sith, whatever the hell was going on with Ahsoka in the early Clone Wars.
Yeah.
14-year-old in a tube top running into battle. Not even Padme's that crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you know. Yeah, but so much of her character was, like, built up in Legends because they were just like, she's obviously important, right? They took that and they created so much of who she is now. And that to me is super important because, you know, Legends is weird, but also a good time a lot of the time. There's stuff that I'm like, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But there's other stories that, like, I really enjoy this. You know? And Mon Mothma's story is one of them. But I think that without that, we wouldn't have had her come back, you know?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that she had a presence in Legends, because the Legends stuff that I'm familiar with is mostly like the Old Republic. I have like the Crystal Star, which is notoriously one of the worst Legend stories. But I haven't read any of NJO or any of the like older stuff, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, like none of that stuff. So I didn't realize that she had such a presence in the EU. But that makes me like interested.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, you mentioned one of the most notorious Legend stories that's and I'm not looking forward when I reach the Legends part of the project and I have to read The Courtship of Princess Leia.
Oh no.
I'm gonna be sobbing. I'm gonna be like, I need to detox. I need to literally inject Princess and the Scoundrel into my veins after this.
Oh my god.
To fix me. It's just, oh.
I once had someone who was like a really big sequel fan. They once came to me and they were just like, earnestly, The Courtship of Princess Leia isn't canon? And I was like, you're a sequel fan. What do you mean? And they were devastated that this book wasn't canon. And I was like, I'm so confused right now. How did you not know that?
I think we all have a trauma story that involves the courtship of Princess Leia. And like, oh, I love sequels fans. And you know, I feel like Mon wouldn't have had much of a place in the sequels, but she might still be alive.
Yes.
She has no canonical death date.
I mean, like, couldn't we have seen her in the end of The Rise of Skywalker? I feel like she should have been there.
She should have been there. Just very old. Bring back Caroline for that.
Yeah.
The perfect age. you know, because Genevieve as Mon, you know, she looks identical in Andor and Ahsoka. And it's just like that war aged you though. Like you were incredibly stressed.
I forgot she was in Ahsoka actually.
Yeah. When I was rewatching Ahsoka, I just rewatched the episodes that I had to get her. And then I was like, I don't know why I'm lost. I'm like, oh, because I skipped several episodes of this show. So
I never finished it.
Like, the thing is, it wasn't as bad as I was worried it was gonna be. But I was also really scared because I'm so overprotective of Mon. And I guess I couldn't break free from I saw how she was treated in the Clone Wars. And I was so scared that Dave was gonna fall back into that trap. But no, he surprisingly didn't, and she's written fairly well. Did horrible takes flood the internet about her? Yes. But that's not necessarily Dave's fault in this case. Like, I feel like between the Clone Wars and then Rebels and Ahsoka, Rebels was the strongest writing I think he had for Mon Mothma.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, just Secret Cargo, my beloved. You know, because the Clone Wars statistics with her, I had to do math to figure those out. And I was like, what do you mean? These numbers are horrendous. What do you mean she only speaks in 2% of Clone Wars episodes? Yeah. She visually appears in 11%. 9% of that is non-speaking.
Whoa.
And then only one episode she's allowed to speak more than one line. And when you average it all out, essentially she gets one speaking line per episode that we see her.
Oh.
So she's a total of 15 speaking lines in the entirety of the Clone Wars. I'm like, you had so many political storylines in this show. Where is she? Why isn't she allowed to talk? And I feel like that's a joint George Lucas and Dave Filoni problem. Like, it's not one of them, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know? And because I'm like, we got to focus on so many characters that, you know, are also amazing, but your pre-established characters sometimes were a little bit lacking.
Yeah, I mean, that's so interesting to me because I feel like there are several distinct senator-related plot lines in the Clone Wars.
Like the one where like the hostage crisis one, she's not even in that.
What?
I'm like, what do you mean she doesn't get held hostage? Is she not special enough of a senator to get held hostage? And my partner's like, are you saying you wanted her to be held hostage? Well, she would have had so much fun. Perrin's like, hey, how is everything at the Senate? She's like, great, I got held hostage.
Oh my God.
And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? And she's like, wow, delightful. Pour a drink, I'll tell you. And he's like, don't mind if I do. I feel like I'm going to need to be drunk to hear this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's just Perrin's regular state of being.
Yes. Although I hear he has a redemption arc in The Mask of Fear.
It's not so much a redemption arc. It's more, he's not yet the man that we see in Andor. But you can see how he gets there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. There are a few moments where he kind of shows that he cares about Mon.
Okay.
And that, you know, her safety matters to him. But there's also times where it's like, so you were either sleeping, drinking, or gambling, or drinking and gambling while she was missing. Okay, interesting choice, buddy.
Got it. Yeah.
The feelings are complicated when it comes to Perrin. because there are things that she went through that he also went through, and neither of them had any control over it. And similar, I can't remember who I said this to, but I was like, similar to the way that they say like celebrities get stuck at the age that they become famous, Perrin got stuck at the age he got married at.
Gotcha.
But Mon still had to grow up because you can't afford for a senator to have the maturity of a 15, 16-year-old. But the dude who is just a guy can kind of afford to be a little bit more immature. And that is also part of it.
Gotcha.
You know, he also just needs to go to therapy.
As so many of the Star Wars men do.
Yeah. I feel like Mon also needs therapy, but
big time.
I feel like she'd be like, you want me to talk about my problems? No, can't do that. Wouldn't be right. Other people are suffering. And she'd just get up and walk out and be like, how is that helpful to you?
Oh my God, yeah. No, I shamefully, I mean, not shamefully, I was finishing my master's degree and I was really, really busy. I've had The Mask of Fear in my possession since October, and I have not had a chance to read it, but that will change. I am planning on reading it.
It's so good. My arc is very battered at this point in time.
Oh my gosh.
There's things like, it is scuffed around the edges. I have one hardcover on my shelf, and then the Goldsboro is almost in the mail because it just arrived at my best friend's house like yesterday. So I'm very excited. I wish I got the Inkstone one with the little embossed Mon Mothma, but I probably would have tried to eat that. So probably best that I didn't. But if it ever goes on sale again, or if I can bribe somebody on eBay, or just a light bit of like blackmail or something, who knows, I will acquire the Inkstone copy.
Yes, manifesting.
It would look so good on my Mon Mothma shelf. It's so good on my Mon Mothma shelf, which is a normal thing to have.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Just, I think that it's very normal.
I approve.
Yeah, thank you. And then of course, like, so in the Q&A today, because that happened today as of time of recording, somebody asked like, what was the process of Genevieve's audition for like Rogue One and Andor? And I was like, I'm pretty sure she didn't have to audition.
Yeah.
But because she worked with Gareth Edwards before. I can't remember if it was on stage or in like a screen project. But he was already familiar with her. And then you add that to the fact that she'd already been this character in Star Wars. It kind of makes her the obvious choice to bring back, right? Because that just also saves you time auditioning yet another woman when you literally have the perfect one right there. She's precious, she's Irish, she's wonderful, she's talented. We want to hold on to her forever. And then, after that, like, why be like, actually, we're going to replace you for Andor? That would have been, I feel like certain fans, me, would have probably rioted.
I would have. I mean,
yeah.
Like, we didn't even, frankly, not that I didn't like her in Rogue One, I obviously did, but it wasn't until Andor that I was like, whoa, this woman can act. Like,
because she got to show off so much more of her range in Andor, right? Compared to Rogue One, where she is still more of that like secondary side character. She's like, her name in a live action scene that wasn't cut isn't said until Andor. So it's like 39 years after this character is introduced, finally we have a live action scene that wasn't cut where her name is said. Thank you, Clea Markey. Right. And that's crazy when I remember that fact. and I have it written down on a piece of paper, and I'm like, this is just one of those things that makes me feel things, because, you know, we went from her being essentially unnamed in like mainstream Star Wars, like films, live action TV shows. And if you bring it down to the films, she still hasn't been mentioned by name on screen. And now so many people are loving her and embracing her, and that just means the world to me. You know? So
Yeah.
And Genevieve gets to be a part of that. And I think, you know, having played the role for 20 years now, it's been 22 years since she was cast as Mon Mothma, because they cast her in 2003. And just all that she, like, every time she's got to play the role, she's been able to do more and push the character forward, whether that has been in live action or animation, because she also did get to voice her in Rebels. Shout out to Genevieve O'Reilly. You are a multi-talented woman, and I love you. And I'm not going to be okay during Andor season 2.
Starting her Emmy campaign now?
Yes. Because Tony was also saying, like, he's like, I don't care, you know, typically, like, about, he's like, I don't really care about awards, but if Michael Wilkinson is not recognized for his costume design in this show, I will be upset. And I'm also like, I'm with you with that, and also Genevieve.
Just seriously,
Genevieve.
I think he was nominated for something for season 1.
Saturn Award.
I was gonna say I thought it was Saturn.
Yeah.
But seriously, that should have been there should have been an Emmy campaign for her for season 1. Absolutely. I just was blown away, and I can't wait for. I'm scared. I'm a little scared because I know she's gonna experience some crazy trauma.
Yeah.
But it'll be acted so beautifully.
Yeah. Like, I remember a big thing during season 1 when people were like, you know, I watch Star Wars usually for, like, the action, the adventure, all of this other stuff. But I'm sat and I'm really invested in Mon Mothma's home life. And I'm like, the way that, because the writing is phenomenal. And then you add in the other layers with that. You add in Faye Marseille when she shows up at the embassy. You add in Bronte Carmichael as Lita. You add in Alistair Mackenzie as Perrin. And then Frank Delane and Ben Miles as Davos Skulden and Tay Kolma. And it's just, like, these are absolute powerhouses that are like, this script is great. And we know what we're doing. And, like, looking at Bronte Carmichael, she's still a kid. And I'm like, the way that you play Lita is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know, yeah, she's a teenager. But the way that I think that she just is able to embrace all of the feelings that Lita definitely has, like, going on in there, and is able to articulate it and show it in the best way. You know, with, like, the way she, like, her body language, the way that she interacts with other characters like Vel. And, you know, it's, just, I'm biased, but my favorite plot line.
Yeah, no, mine too. Absolutely.
Like, you know, because it's not something that you really expect from Star Wars, is to focus on, you know, this senator's home life. But it has allowed her to grow and evolve so much. And I think it's made her a lot more relatable, because we're like, oh, you've got family shit going on too. We can all relate to that. Oh, you don't feel super supported in your career with your colleagues literally heckling you, and then you go home and your husband is incompetent. That's very relatable for a lot of people, you know? So I just, will never not be blown away by the sheer talent of the people in that plot line.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. And it's so I love what Tony Gilroy has done with her character, and I feel like because the writing of her arc is just that good, that opened the doors for her to have her own novel and to have to appear in Ahsoka. Like,
Yeah.
Tony and Genevieve. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and discredit a man for Mon Mothma's work.
That's yeah.
But the combination of Tony and Genevieve, what they've done with the character has just elevated her so much into this powerhouse of a Star Wars character.
Yeah.
That is, in my opinion, worthy of a standalone series.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Obviously you agree with me, but
yes. Yes. Like, absolute dream would be to work on a project that is completely Mon Mothma centric. And I would need to have like Genevieve O'Reilly on board with that. And of course, like, for me personally, if I got to do that, I would be leaning on Tony Gilroy a lot, because I'd be like, how? Teach me your ways. Like, please. whatever you did, I need that magic here, right? But like, my the big dream that I have is like an in-universe biography for Mon Mothma. And that was really realized for me when I was like, oh, Star Wars needs more in-universe, like, historical texts of that nature, right? So thank you to Chris Kemschel and the Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire, because that unlocked that dream for me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, holy shit, like, I already know pretty much everything about her. I could put this to use. So now I feel like even more motivated in my writing to be like, I want to get to that point because I want to do it so badly.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I am more of a prose writer than a screenwriter, but it's just getting to completely focus and be like, hey, I'm getting paid to do this, and this is my favorite character. That would be the dream come true, is literally doing what I love. Because all of this, like, the whole project has been a labor of love, and I've loved every minute of it. I've loved all of the stress that goes into it, because I'm like, I need to make sure that the way that I'm presenting this makes sense and that I'm not, going completely crazy. Yeah, but like, none of this would have been possible without just that absolute dream team of Tony and Genevieve.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And I wonder, like, something that I've been thinking about a lot recently. I'm doing like a slow rewatch of all the Star Wars movies, because contrary to I mean I don't really go back and watch them very often. I think a lot of people do, especially in the creator community, but I don't. I don't know. But I finally was like, okay, I need to go back. It's time. It's overdue. I need to watch all the Star Wars movies. And I was so amazed by how many parallels I saw in Rogue One to Andor.
Yeah.
And so it makes me wonder, like, how much of Mon Mothma's story was Tony Gilroy thinking about when he was working on Rogue One?
Yeah.
Like, how much of that was, because he had to have been thinking about it, because otherwise he wouldn't have made her such a pivotal part of Andor the series. But yeah.
Tony Gilroy is a mastermind, and I do think that he was already piecing part of that together. And I think, in a way, this may sound crazy, that Alexander Freed and, was it Jody Houser that did the graphic novel?
I can't remember.
If it wasn't Jody Houser, shout out to whoever it was, because I don't remember off the top of my head right now. But when they have her like apologize to Jin, and she's like, I won't forget what we did to you. For me, I'm like, is she seeing, in Jin, that young woman who is about to sacrifice literally everything for this cause, knowing that she probably will never be thanked, similar to what Lita is about to go through. Because, like, you know, Jin is very outspoken. She's very tough. And I see that in Lita. And, you know, only being like a few years separated from that, she probably hasn't seen Lita in a while either. And so all of that, I'm like, delightful, cool. Because, like, I think about Jin a lot. I think about Mon and her admiration for Jin a lot. And obviously, Mon loves her daughter. She doesn't want to have to do what she is about to do. She, from the moment that it is proposed to her, she's like, I'm not thinking about that. That's not happening. And then she breaks down for the very first time that we have seen with this character. And so, like, yes, she sees a lot of Leia in herself, but I think she saw a lot of Lita in Jin. Right? Because, you know, I think when we look at it as a whole, a lot of the young women who fought and died for the rebellion go so unnoticed by history. You know, we don't know what's going to happen to Vel or Cinta or Bix or any of them, but it's going to take a toll on Mon because she is older than these characters. She's very close to Vel. I hope she gets to meet and become close with like Cinta and Bix, but she is a mother, and they've spent so much time exploring Mon Mothma in Andor as a woman and as a mother and as a wife, that like these aren't things that you can just turn on and off.
Yeah.
So it's gonna, like, it always impacts her. She's a person who cares very much about the human cost of what they're doing, right? You know, the young people who never really knew democracy, who are fighting for the idea of it, and so many of them are dying. Like, you know, and she understands how important that is, and she wishes that it wasn't happening, you know?
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to have to go to war. She didn't want it to have to come to this point. She tried so hard for, like, almost 2 decades to prevent it from coming to that. She was staunchly against, like, the Military Creation Act, against giving Palpatine emergency powers, all of these things. Like, she fought back with her words and what power she had for so long, and then to realize, like, oh, we have to go to war, and this is what's going to come of it. It breaks my heart. I just want her to be okay.
Yeah.
But she's never going to get a break.
Not for a long time.
Not for a long time. And even when she ultimately gets a break, the Senate's like, are you coming back? Are you going to come back and fix us again? And it's just like, oh my God. And then, you know, I know with Andor season 2, we're coming up on a very, very pivotal point for Mon. And I think you know what I'm going to say. The Gorman Massacre. And I think a lot of people don't really understand the scope and scale of it. And at the same time, I don't understand the scope and scale of it yet in canon, because we haven't explored it really. But like, I saw somebody, you know, like, oh, I thought that it was going to be like 3 episodes and then a break of a year and then 3 episodes and then a break of a year. And I'm just like, we've already seen the building blocks to what is going to happen in season 1. Because she has brought up the people of Gorman at least twice, talking about their plight. And my most deathly fear, and Tony seems to realize these fears a lot. Because as he said, if you don't cry, I'm going to be very unhappy. And I say, Tony, I'm about to make you the happiest man alive. um, with it being 5 episodes, it could go the last episode in one arc, all 3 episodes of the next arc, and then the first episode of the following arc. Or it could go 2, then 3. Or it can go 3, then 2. And I don't know which one terrifies me more. I think it's the first one where it's...
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because I can feel him doing that for the weight of it.
And
to be like, this is not something that happened in an instant. And to really drive that point home. And I'm going to be completely devastated. I don't know about you. I don't like to see massacres and atrocities. I still close my eyes when the Death Star gets fired at Alderaan. And that has only intensified over the years because of all of the world building and everything we've learned about Alderaan and have come to love about Alderaan.
Yeah.
You know, I feel all of that very deeply. So I'm scared. I'm scared of Tony Gilroy, but I love him at the same time.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair. When I first heard last week that it was going to be the Gorman Massacre, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Because I knew immediately that we were all going to feel the weight of it as if it were a real event, because that's what Tony Gilroy is so good at.
Yeah.
And there's, with a show like Andor, there's so many ties to the real world, like real world struggles, real world politics. And I don't, everything that he does in his writing is intentional. And so I feel we're all going to be suffering.
Yeah. And like, you know, I feel like there's a little bit of a joke with him where he's like, if you don't cry, I'm going to be like very like unhappy. But part of that, I think, is also him being like, I can see, like, my intent with this was to make an impact. I want you to feel it emotionally, right? And not necessarily like physical tears, even though I will be providing. Tony, get your bucket ready. But also that like emotional gut feeling that, I hate to say it, hasn't really left a lot of people in the last couple of months, you know, but it's going to give us that outlet, that thing to be like, you know, because it's just like, if you're like, I'm just sobbing over the state of the real world, it's like, yes, you know, that makes perfect sense. But to have that outlet that is fictional also really matters, because it's just like, oh, this is so, it's not just impacting me, it's not just impacting the people around me, it's impacting the people who are creating art in such a way that they have to make all of this part of what they are doing. And I just know that the cast is going to take it seriously, because you know, they understand the importance of what they are doing, and I can trust this sort of thing in Tony Gilroy's hands, because I know in a way that like I couldn't necessarily be like, oh yeah, I would trust this other Star Wars creator with a story like this. Tony Gilroy is the right man to tell this story, because he delivers those really heavy hitting things in a way that some of them, for all of their talents, kind of lack in that regard.
I completely agree.
That's not shade that I'm throwing, you know. They're like Dave Filoni, has George Lucas, they've all managed to bring me to tears with various stories, but the real emotional impact I feel more with Andor.
I think Andor took Star Wars, took a little bit of a different approach. Like it's not whimsical, and it's not supposed to be. Like, I think even the original trilogy, I would say, is like the most political of the, even though the prequels are very political, like in the world.
Yeah.
Like if we're looking at it from a point of view of like real world events and stuff, I would say the original trilogy is the most political.
Yeah.
In the similar way that Andor is, but it still has that whimsy because it's like the original Star Wars and the Jedi and this. I think honestly, not having the Jedi, not having the Force be an integral part of what Andor is, it's very sobering, and it brings the Star Wars universe into a completely different worldview that makes you confront the political side of Star Wars, because Star Wars has always been political.
Yes.
But it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just not everyone is able to do that, and that's okay. We have other parts of Star Wars that we love, like the Acolyte is very, very whimsical in nature. Like different creatives are good at doing different things, but like you said, like Tony Gilroy was the man for this job, and I can't think of any other Star Wars creative who could quite deliver that impact the way that Tony Gilroy has.
Yeah. And like, I think part of it is like, you know, not having the Jedi, not having the Force, even, you know, in pulling other characters, because, you know, there's always the question, oh, is Darth Vader going to show up? He doesn't have a place in this story. Right. And that's not me trying to be like, oh, like he doesn't have like, because he's in Rogue One and his place in Rogue One makes sense. Right. He is there to be a threat. Right. He's not there to be like, you know, oh, wise and powerful Sith Lord. He is there to threaten Krennic and then threaten rebels. Like that is his role as a threat. And so it's very much more about like, hey, you average person, you average senator just trying her best, you guy who grew up in like a mid-rim system, you antiques dealer, it is up to you to fight. Because you can't always have people who are going to come and save you. And, you know, I love Jedi. I love them so much, right? I wanted to be a Jedi when I was a kid. I was swinging lightsabers around with my brother, you know, how we ended up with half of our bruises just whack. Which, not to quote what Mark Hamill said to Cameron Monaghan when they were working on Survivor together, but it's just like, you're not swinging a baseball bat. We're not playing baseball. Which was very much how I treated a lightsaber when I was a kid. But, you know, this is a period in time where the remaining Jedi are in hiding, and they can't come out and they can't save the people of Ferrix. They can't come out and en masse and save the people of Gorman. And, you know, they can't do these things. And I can accept, like, you know, like you said about the original trilogy, still having that whimsy and still being like, you know, a little bit more of the Jedi. I feel like that's because it's more Luke's story, right? Because it is his hero's journey. I feel like if it had been a story led more by Leia, it would have been more of that political and less of the whimsy. But I feel like the right choice was made with Luke being the lead. And, you know, like, again, both absolutely iconic characters, but the trilogy would have been different if it was led by Han or by Leia or by R2 or 3PO or anybody else. And that's what makes it special. Because it depends. It very much leans into the idea of, you know, from a certain point of view. Yeah. You know, because everyone's story is going to be slightly different. We're all going to experience different things. And it's about how we come together and use our personal resources that we have. Right. In the case of Mon Mothma, she's got money, she's got political sway, and she's got really good words. She's very good at persuading people. That is her job. And that's very important to bring to the table, right? Whereas Luthen has this ability to go out into the galaxy, build this network, make these connections, and bring those people together. You know, Cassian's Cassian's role is, hey, I'm going to go about my day and I'm going to F up the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do what I can, which is walk into Imperial facilities like I belong, steal from them, and get away with it. Because when we see him get arrested, it is for taking a walk, which is also a very poignant political statement with the way that men of color specifically are treated in America. And I am not the right person to talk about this, but many creators that I admire and follow talked about this a lot in Andor season 1. And I was like, wait a minute, you're right. I hadn't thought of it like that. Because me, white, female presenting, lives in Canada as well. Like, I don't have experiences with American law enforcement. I don't have that many experiences with Canadian law enforcement. Because, I've just been honestly really lucky in that. But I can also understand, because the few experiences that I've had, a lot of them were very anxiety inducing. And I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. Funny little story. The day that Rogue One came out, I was moving the following day, so I had to go to the bank and change it all over to my new address, get the stuff to bring to my new branch. The bank got robbed by the guy ahead of me in line. And so naturally the police show up. And because people had seen me compliment his hat, I was spoken to. I hadn't done anything wrong, right? But they were like, oh, obviously, it stood out to you. You complimented his hat. What did he look like? Because the brim of the hat covered his face from the cameras. What do you remember? And my heart was pounding out of my chest. I was like, I haven't done anything wrong. So, but I was still like, am I going to be arrested? And I was like, hey, I'm here because I'm moving tomorrow and I had to get stuff to bring to my new branch. And they were like, yeah, but if we need you to come back, to point out a guy in a lineup, you need to make yourself available for that. So I had to give them my details and everything. And I was like, this is terrifying. So that is the weirdest connection to Andor, because I'm just like, hey, this happened to be the day Rogue One came out, because I was going to the movie afterwards. My grandfather was in the car. And I was like, hey, you might as well head over there and I'll get the bus. I'll be fine.
Crazy.
But it was so it's just I understand the anxiety of, I haven't done anything wrong, but I'm being treated in a way that makes my heart react as though I have. If you'd hooked me up to a polygraph machine, it would have been lying. And I'd be like, I told you my name. I'm not lying. But again, that experience was also very different from Cassian's. And when you read The Mask of Fear, it's also very different to the way that other characters get treated when they are being questioned and interrogated by Imperial officers in Imperial Intelligence and the Imperial Security Bureau, the ISB. And it's just I was like, wow, if I felt that anxiety when, I live under a government that cared about my rights and I probably wasn't going to get in trouble. Imagine if I didn't have that luxury and privilege. So it did put things into perspective for me. But anyways, the world is crazy, and we need more politicians like Mon Mothma. Some politicians could learn a thing or two.
That's true.
Her, Oh, yeah. And that's not even saying that she's perfect, but she goes into the Senate every day. A Senate that each time we see it, there seems to be fewer and fewer senators there showing up and doing their jobs. And she spends that time fighting for the rights of people. Whether she ideologically agrees with them or not.
Yep.
That does not matter to her. That does not factor in. And she gets to a point where she's like, no, you know what? Fuck this administration. And she publicly calls it out. I'm not speaking to any politicians in particular, but hello, if you're a politician and you heard me say that and the shoe fit you perfectly, take that advice. I don't think any politicians are going to be watching this, but who knows?
No, but you did get me thinking, like, definitely there are some politicians who are Star Wars fans and are going to be watching Andor.
Yeah.
Like, guys, take the hint.
Yeah, please. Mon Mothma can't save us, unfortunately. She is a fictional character. As much as I want her to be real, I also wouldn't want her to have to deal with the political landscape that we live in.
No.
You know, yeah. I'm so excited for her in season 2.
Me too.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Just the whole way through season 2. And just because I just know that if we get to see any of it at Celebration, unfortunately, you are not going to be there, so you will not be sat with us. But you will be there in spirit.
Yes.
We'll be like, sorry, this seat is saved for somebody who couldn't make it. Doing that with all of the besties who can't come. They're only going to show us one episode of the 3. And I'm going to have to sit with that episode for days.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I won't be able to go back, rewatch scenes until like 2-3 days later.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna wreak havoc on my brain because I'm gonna overthink it because it's gonna end on a cliffhanger. I just know it. Because
you're probably right.
Tony Gilroy wants me to cry. Yeah. Is there anything else that we wanted to say specifically about Mon Mothma for now?
We didn't talk about her fashion.
We can talk about her fashion. Let's do this. Michael Wilkinson, I love you. Because it was really the first time that she got to serve looks properly. Her outfits from Revenge of the Sith are actually dope as fuck. Like that was some serious drip, but like I feel like Andor, she was much more comfortable in like, hey, I can wear this. This is my armor. Yeah, it felt more like that. Like the earrings that she's wearing in One Way Out when they're meeting with Skulden and everything. Her earrings are incredibly sharp there. I'm like, you could take that man's eye out with these. The whole outfit is very like, it's sharper in ways where other outfits of hers are more flowy and she just looks so good in all of them.
Yeah. I'm excited for everything Mon Mothma in season 2, but I'm especially looking forward to what she's going to be wearing.
Yeah, because the sneak peeks that we've had are pretty dope.
Yeah,
like the like orangey gold number that she's wearing. I'm like, I need that. You know, it's gonna be awesome because being the lead, technically like the lead female character in the show, she's finally allowed to slay.
Yeah.
She's never really had this opportunity before where she's like, I am at parties and I am at work and I am suffering. So I have to look good. Because otherwise people are going to see that I'm miserable. And I always did think of her like the classic Rogue One Return of the Jedi outfit that she has is her being like, I'm safe. My clothes don't need to be in armor anymore. And I'm excited to see that evolution as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a classic for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's it's cool. Like, I hate to break it to people, but it is a cool outfit. And it says a lot about how safe and secure she feels. She doesn't need to, you know, be dressed in the finest things, the latest fashions, the most expensive pieces to be listened to be treated with respect. And, you know, I feel like that's something that a lot of women in positions of like any level of power kind of always feel. It's just like they can have these brilliant ideas, they can say these wonderful things, and yet there's still going to be endless discussion about what outfit she was wearing, you know.
Yep.
And we also see it a lot on red carpets as well, like, oh, you know, oh, I didn't like this outfit, oh, and then you cease to watch any interviews or actually listen to what she's saying about her work. Whereas a guy could turn up in the same crusty ass Sith robes for years and still be feared and respected. He can show up in the same suit and tie to every event. And everyone's like, wow, you're doing amazing. You look great. And it's just like, yeah, sure, he looks great. But regardless of what he's wearing, you're going to respect him.
Yeah.
You know? So, Michael Wilkinson cooked with her wardrobe.
Oh, yeah.
Wilkinson, Emmy campaign. Genevieve O'Reilly, Emmy campaign.
Yes.
Andor.
I need to get my computer charger.
Oh, all good. Andor Sweep 2025.
Oh. My stupid camera.
It's all good. It was mostly pointed at like the floor.
It's like motion sensor. So it saw me get up and it went whoop.
Your camera has ADHD. Damn, I love that. Yeah, but like Andor Sweep
again.
2025 is what we all need. I can sense it happening. And I can't remember who said it, but they were like, I feel like that's one of the reasons why they're doing the accelerated release is to meet that deadline. And I was like, I could see it. I could see Disney really wanting to be like, hey, this juggernaut of a work is fantastic. Recognize it. I want to be tuning into the Emmys, and it's just every single thing is going to Andor. I want to see Michael Wilkinson's acceptance speech. I want to see Genevieve O'Reilly finally get her beautiful, beautiful flowers for
absolutely
put 2 decades of her life into. Now, admittedly, there was a sizable gap there. I didn't think I'd ever be back. I thought they lost my phone number. I don't think she actually said that. But that was probably how it felt.
Yeah.
Like, they remember that I exist? Probably not. You know? And just to get to work on Andor would have been, I think, for any person involved in Star Wars, would have been an absolute fucking dream. Because it is one of the very, very best Star Wars projects, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, you have those legacy characters. Sorry. And you have these brand new characters that are so well-rounded. And the actors, even the characters that it's just like, I hate you. They are portrayed so phenomenally. That it's like, I don't know how you did it. An actor that I like watching and have been like, oh, I love this other character that you play. Suddenly, I want to throttle you. All of that love has gone out the window. And now I'm like, enemy number one. But you can, it's still super easy to separate the actor from their character because that's just how good they are. You're not left questioning, like, is Alistair Mackenzie actually a douchebag to women? Discuss. No. Because you could separate and be like, no, that's Perrin. That is 100% Perrin. That is that wig on. That fuck-ass wig. And Star Wars has some fuck-ass bobs, but that is certainly one of them.
Yes.
You know? And, yeah. So speaking of her fashion, I'm going to ask you another question that I didn't include in here. What would you say is your favorite Mon Mothma outfit in Andor?
Oh my god, I can't even remember which episode it's from, but
describe it and I'll probably be able to tell you.
I'm pretty sure it's blue.
Okay. Is it the over one that she's wearing in the Senate?
Yes. Yes.
So episode 6 and episode 9. So the eye and nobody's listening. I remember Andor episodes sometimes based off of what Mon Mothma was wearing. This is a weird way to remember it. Some people remember it in iconic moments or speeches or whatever. I'm like, what was Mon Mothma wearing? It's why the first 3 episodes jumbled together in my brain. I'm like, that is one episode. It came out all at once. Mon Mothma wasn't in it, so I can't feel like this is what she was wearing. Yeah. But I do love her little blue like over thing in the Senate because it separates more of the like, you know, oh, this is her at work and then this is her away from work. You know,
I just love that color on her.
It looks so good.
Yeah,
it looks so good. Like redheads and the color blue.
Yes.
Chef's kiss.
Yes.
Chef's kiss. Yeah. So, what are you most looking forward to in Andor season 2?
Isn't it obvious? No, I am most looking forward to the continuation of Mon Mothma's arc. I have a hot take. I cannot stand Orson Krennic. He's my least favorite Star Wars villain. So I don't care that he's coming back at all. And yeah, I just care about Cassian and Mon Mothma and Luthen.
That's fair. Yeah, so you probably don't like that he's probably putting the smolder that we see in the trailer on Mon Mothma. Because I was like, the hell are you doing? I'm like, get a job, stay away from her.
Yes.
And he's like, I have a career, and I'm like, it's not good enough for her. Shoo. You are not good enough for my mother. Who's your favorite original Andor character?
I would say Luthen.
So real. Yeah. Luthen is just, sometimes you look at a character and you're like, that is a character design.
Yeah.
That is a well-designed character. That is not even a character anymore. That is a human being. He is more three-dimensional than some people in this fandom. And
a lot of people, yeah.
A lot of people in this fandom. I'm like, he feels more real to me than a lot of these people. On the opposite end of that, who is your least favorite original Andor character?
Skeen.
Skeen. Okay, I was waiting for somebody to say Skeen. And I love how you didn't hesitate. Because the other, like the top 2 answers have been Perrin and Tim.
Okay.
And yeah.
Those are also fair.
Yeah.
Especially Tim.
Yeah. Well, Bix, if you're going to cry over a man, cry over a better one. There are better men. Cry over Cassian. Cry over Luthen. Like, I don't know. I don't know why Bix would cry over Luthen, but still, there are better men than Tim.
Oh, yeah.
What is your favorite thing about Mon Mothma?
Oh my gosh, I think her resilience.
So real.
Yeah.
She goes through it time and again and never stops.
Never.
Keeps going. Someone send her on a vacation, please.
I don't know. I feel like I would worry for her safety.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
she deserves it, but
she has
and
so
then
many.
would she relax? I feel like she'd work on her vacation.
Yeah, I feel like in Princess and the Scoundrel, where she's like, Leia, stop working on your fucking honeymoon. That is exactly how we would all feel if she went on vacation. It's just like,
Yeah.
why are you still calling into the office? No, put the comm link down. No, give us the data pad. No. She would very much do that, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why she knew that Leia was going to do the exact same thing in Princess and the Scoundrel. Like, oh, is this what it's like? People try to send me off for some me time. Delightful. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me in this chat, Sawyer. It's been phenomenal.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Yeah. Where can you be found on the interwebs, the HoloNet at large?
Yes. Mon Mothma's HoloNet.
Mon Mothma, yeah.
You can find me at sawyeurism on pretty much everything that exists in social media. That's SAWYEURISM. YouTube, X, Instagram, TikTok, as long as that lives. Blue Sky, Sawyerism everywhere. And you can also find me at the Yap Sesh podcast that I host with my best friend Brooke. We're on a bit of a hiatus. We are coming back for Andor. We should be coming back for Andor anyway. So you can find us on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I think. We're on there as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And if you're not already following Sawyer, do it. She's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. We can be found at Mothma Updates, and I can be found at Bejeweled Mothma on most social media. My Mon Mothma panel at Star Wars Celebration is still happening. Senator Rebel Chancellor, who is Mon Mothma, come watch me discuss the love of my life for an hour. 4 to 5 on the fan stage. If you can't make it to Celebration, it will be recorded and it will be posted on YouTube. So there's that. Thank you again, Sawyer, and viewers at home or at work or hopefully not driving. I always say, please don't operate a motor vehicle or like perform surgery while watching my videos. It will not end well. I don't want to be cited in a lawsuit. Think of the optics for Mon Mothma, please. That's all I ask. Thank you, everyone, and may the Force be with you.
Yay!
Hey, you Google.